Welcome everyone to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. I'm Simona.
I'm Amy.
And this afternoon, Amy and I will be discussing the 2020 Netflix film Enola Holmes. And Enola Holmes is a young adult fiction series of the same name written by Nancy Springer. And it tells the story of the younger sister of the famous Sherlock Holmes. And it stars Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. She's done other things, but she's more famous for that. Is it Cavill, Sam Claflin, and Helena Bonham Carter. So yeah,
and Petunia Dursley.
Oh yes. Yeah, who does she? Oh, she's the head of the finishing school, right?
Yeah, the horrible headmistress who's in love with Mycroft.
Yes. Mycroft. So I enjoyed it. I thought
did too.
It was a really fun film. Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's narrated from and the main character, her name is Enola. And it's so funny because she talks about like her mother was a fan of word games and I forgot what it's called when something backwards spells
anagram.
Yes, thank you. And how Enola is an anagram for alone. And I feel like she's like, which I am alone. Like, I hope that wasn't the only reason your mom chose it. But
I did like when she said something about what Mycroft and Sherlock are backwards, and was like, so maybe there isn't a lot of truth behind the naming because they don't make any sense. But I mean, I think that like probably to her mom it was like perfect because of that, but not because like it meant alone or independence alone, maybe.
Yeah. So it's really nice because Enola is raised by her mother. Her father passes away when she's still an infant, and her brothers basically leave the manor. And she's raised by her mom in a pretty unconventional way for a girl of her class and a girl of her time. So she's basically educated the way a young man of privilege would have been educated.
I don't even think that.
Well, maybe not the martial arts, but maybe the sciences, you think, or no?
Well, I mean, it wasn't the way, like it wasn't the stuff she was trained in. As for content, yeah. Like I think that it would be a suitable quote unquote boys education. But they would have gone away to school. Like they did go away to school. Yeah. Like I was doing all this math about like how old is Sherlock, and Enola's 16. So if Sherlock is the younger brother and he's 28, that means that he left when she was like, because of the story about how when she was little, she was always pulling that thing around, and that's like one of the only memories he has of her.
Yeah. See, you're so dedicated. I didn't do all that like mathematical thing. You're so dedicated.
Well, this is the second time I saw it.
Oh, okay.
But I think I did it the first time too. And it's something to do while I watch Henry Cavill.
True. Yes.
He is so pretty.
Yeah, sorry. And it's funny because we discussed Stranger Things, right? We did do a recording on Stranger Things.
Yes, we did.
And Millie Bobby Brown is in it, and we did The Witcher.
Yes.
So it's coming full circle. Yeah, and if you're interested in our opinions on that, please take a listen to those episodes.
The Witcher in particular.
Yes, The Witcher. A lot to say on that.
We had a guest star with lots of anger issues about this show, so it was fantastic.
Yes, and hopefully we'll have more guests with more anger to really liven things up.
We can get more angry people, because I am usually the angry people. We need more angry people.
We need more of them. So at one point, and I kind of missed this because as I was watching, I was doing other things. But at one point in the story, Enola's mother disappears.
On her 16th birthday.
Yeah. And
which, come on.
16 is a good age, as any to start growing up. And basically Enola is left alone, once more. Her mother Eudora has disappeared, and Mycroft and Sherlock return home after what I'm assuming is many years of absence. And
years and years.
yes, Mycroft in particular, who is Enola is his ward, because once the mother leaves, she passes into his custody. He is not pleased at all with how Enola has turned out. He thinks that their mother has done a complete disservice to her, that she's not acting as she should be behaving. So he's completely disappointed with her.
And he's been lying, and she's been lying throughout the years. She's been, increasing invisible household staff raises. Yes. She was getting she said that I cannot remember her name. I just decided it was Inara, which is Star Trek. But Enola, she says that Enola's in all of these comportment classes and dance classes, and she's just keeping the money.
Yes. So Mycroft obviously finds out about it. Sherlock is more of the one where he sort of has taken the I wash my hands approach to what's going on. He's not really involved. He's a little self-centered. He has his own successful investigation business. He does his own thing. He recognizes that Enola is extremely intelligent and resourceful, but he's not yet willing to sort of intervene on her behalf and really tell Mycroft what he thinks. Enola at first tries to get her brothers involved in the search for her mom, but they're really reluctant. So Enola realizes I have to do it on my own. An important thing, one of the background elements of the story is that the English Parliament is debating whether or not to pass a law that would give common men or non-landholding men the right to vote, or the right for representation within the government. So that's one thing that's going on. And Enola, through her expert sleuthing, I did enjoy when she was solving the puzzles that her mom was leaving around. I enjoyed that a lot. As Enola slowly starts to unravel these puzzles, she realizes that her mother was involved in some pretty heavy duty things,
Yeah, kind of terrorism. Little bit of terrorism.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that she was also working towards getting women's suffrage, right? Because I know in Europe, well, not all of Europe, but in England,
it was about women's suffrage as well. Though maybe it wasn't a little bit of terrorism. Here's my question. Mm-hmm. I know that Limehouse, right? Was Limehouse? Mm-hmm. Was the location that they found all of their suffragette, mm-hmm. Literature base. Mm-hmm. And there were fireworks also stored there. And I kind of thought that was, that they were going to do some sort of bomb. But now in retrospect, as I was saying, a little bit of terrorism, I congealed some stuff in my head. I found an article that of course I closed because I can't remember to keep things open. I close things 5 times a day and just go, duh. So, but they said that Limehouse was actually the first Chinatown in London, basically. And so you see, as you're going, as she's going further and further to that area, there's more and more Chinese written on the walls and stuff like that. Okay. And you don't see many people walking around. It's not a populous area that you're seeing, but you are seeing that there's more signage in Chinese. So it might have just been that's where they kind of were hey, can I use your illegal fireworks shop to store my illegal suffrage stuff? So it might not have been connected. But that was just I didn't want to frame Eudora for doing anything she didn't do. By the way, can I just state my undying love for Helena Bonham Carter? I love her. I love her. Always love her. Every time I watch her in anything, I'm like, why am I just not her? I
Even in
want to
Sweeney
be,
Todd?
yeah, everything, everything. Because I love acting and like she gets these great parts that like seem like they would be so much fun to do. You know, and obviously like my acting talent totally compares to Lynn. Like we're like the same person. So, you know, obviously. But yeah, I just need to say my piece about her.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that if she were involved in terrorist activities, like at first I kind of thought, is that kind of contrary to her as a character? I mean, she's obviously someone who believes through any means necessary, but I was thinking, would she though stoop to causing violence that might harm? Like I know during the suffragette movements, and I know definitely in the United States,
Mhm.
chaining themselves to fences. I don't know,
Right.
were they on things? I have no idea.
No, they weren't. No,
Okay.
no, they were
But
ladies about it, but they were thrown in jail and brutalized.
yeah, so I mean, things were happening. I'm not sure what it was like in England, but I'm
Right.
assuming they were willing to do anything to achieve the goal. So I was kind of
Right.
thinking about whether or not they were planning like bombings or whether it was just because as you said, this is like illegal like firework production place, or they're like
Right.
they have gunpowder and this is the perfect way to store our illegal pamphlets or whatnot. I liked how they all had like a way to distinguish the members. The purple ribbon was a
Mhm.
basically say, if you're one of us, you're like safe here. Like I liked those little elements. um and it
Oh,
makes
that was the purple ribbon? I thought the purple ribbon came off her dress and that's how Sherlock knew she was there.
No, the purple ribbon was when Enola first finds Limehouse. She sees a very tiny purple ribbon tied, I think, to the padlock, and then she remembers back to there's a scene in the film where she uncovers her mother with meeting with a group of women, and they're poring over maps,
Right.
talking in cryptic language, and they're all wearing purple ribbons on their blouses.
All righty. Well, I mean, I guess purple. I didn't even see that enough to like think about it. I feel like I don't remember what women in the US wore. Like they had a color too. And I feel like it's white, but I could be totally making that up.
I'm
So,
pretty sure, yeah. A lot of the time, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure like if you're a part of these organizations, you have to have like a calling card for
right.
I
Yeah.
remember for this, I forgot what country it was. It was in South America, and I'll try to find this information, but the code word for people who wanted to rebel against the government was the word mariposa, which is
Mhm.
butterfly in Spanish. So if you, to know if someone supported your cause, you would say mariposa, and that became the code.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me
Right.
if in the United States there was a way, there has to be, because if something is illegal, you have to have a way of getting
Right.
people to realize we're having the meeting over here tonight.
Yeah.
So but I did like that element because it's like you're sort of following the clues along with,
Mhm. Yeah.
and she's also extremely intelligent. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
love her.
Yeah, like when she's putting the cipher in the newspaper, and I'm like, "Oh, that's dedication,
Right. Right.
And I like how the expressions on the face, she's like, I'm sent it to this newspaper, and the person looking at this, and I've also sent it to 3 other newspapers that I know my mother actually reads. Like I like
Mhm.
looking at the audience, and she's narrating what she's doing. It's just really funny.
Yeah. I I I was just in love with this movie. And this is the second time now I've checked out the first book of the Enola Holmes series. And hopefully I'll get a chance to read it this time before it goes back. But we do have it. I believe it's in Libby, but of course my phone is not here, so I can't check.
I can check.
Um, but I think that the casting was beautiful. I think that everybody was just so good. And like I can't tell you how many times I just smiled goofily through this entire movie. Um I smiled goofily because of Enola. I smiled goofily because of the boy, the
Mhm.
Viscount of Tewkesbury. Um and and I smiled goofily whenever they were together. I smiled goofily for all the Sherlock being a good big brother. It was just so much goofy smiling. And this is the second watch and just as much goofy smiling. Um,
So I went on Overdrive.
yes,
We have the case of the left-handed lady um, on Overdrive, but that's the only one of the series that I actually see, unless I'm doing it wrong.
maybe it's Libby. Maybe it's Hoopla. I mean, we'll have to
Yeah.
evaluate this later. But so and also in other full circle thing with casting we've seen before. Um Susan, I can't remember her last name. She is the person that works, that's the judo teacher and also the
Oh,
tea
yes,
house
yes,
lady. She
yes.
was in Crazy Head. She was awesome in that. She's awesome in this. It was sad that she didn't have more of a role. I would pay good money to see this like as a show. Like I would tune in and binge watch that. Um, might even make myself some cookies to watch it with. It's just so cozy. And like we have in the library, and most libraries, there's like this genre called cozy mysteries,
Oh, yes.
that are like really non-violent for the most part. um and it's not like these gory procedurals where people are like hanging from trees without body parts and stuff like that. Like hopefully my 8-year-old didn't hear that. La, la, la. Anyway, uh, so and like as I get older I can't do those anymore, but I'm not quite at cozy mysteries yet, because they're too cozy. And like Enola Holmes is telling me maybe it's my time.
No,
But
it could be a good gateway book.
yeah, so it's not it's not violent really. There's like one fight scene, and or actually two, because the end is a little hardcore, but it's not hardcore like by anybody's standards in terms
Yeah.
of today's violence level.
Oh, no. It's so interesting when I think about like what was considered violent at one point and like where we've reached now. And I'm like, no, 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 you have no idea.
Yeah.
No, no, no. But yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going back to, and I'm pretty sure I wrote her character name down, but now I can't find it. When Enola goes to visit her mother's friend who moonlights as a tea shop hostess
Yes,
with
Susan.
that
Susan something.
Susan, when Sherlock tracks her down because he realizes that Enola has gone to see her, and she has a really good conversation with Sherlock because up until this point, Sherlock is still not really involved in what's going on.
Yeah, and just to interrupt for one
Yeah,
second, I love that scene too. Susan Wacoma.
Wakoma, yes. And she's also, as Amy mentioned, in Crazy Head, which we also did a podcast episode on it. So take a listen to that one as well if you haven't already. And so he's talking with, I'm just gonna call her Susan. That's not her character name, but I'll call her Susan.
Sorry, Susan. We love you too much to use your character name.
Yes. And he's basically trying to get her to divulge what she spoke to with Enola about. And at this point, Sherlock is not really involved in his personal home matters. He's not really involved politically. Like I mentioned, there is the British Parliament is thinking about passing this bill. And he talks to Susan's character and she says, you don't know what it's like to not have power. because Sherlock is a man and he's a man of privilege. So, and money. So he has never known what it's like to have his decisions questioned, to be second guessed. At most doors of British society, or I would say all the doors, but would be open to him. And you take Susan, where she's a woman. I don't know if her race plays a factor in this. I don't really know what the society is like in the
Right.
universe.
You know, I was thinking about that as well. It There are two people of color in this whole movie. And I mean, yes, I understand that it wouldn't be really like in real life very possible to have people of color running around in British society. So I do understand the trouble that they went through. But then, if you're gonna throw some in, like, then just mix it up more. Like, if we're saying that Susan wouldn't have had trouble as a business owner, as a woman, and as somebody of color, I think that and Lestrade as a police officer, just own it. Like, you can't tell me that there's nobody else in acting other than those two people of any ethnicity other than white.
I guess, I mean, Britain is very small. Maybe they have a limited acting pool. I have no, I mean, I tend to see the same people in every British
Yeah.
that I've ever watched. Like the same, they just circulate. Yeah, so she's having this conversation and she says, you have no idea what it's like to not have power. And I think that she doesn't really go into much more, but I also think that's sort of a wake-up call that Sherlock needs. And I know that towards the end, I think he's talking to Mycroft, because Mycroft is very much a man of his class, where he opposes the bill. He believes the voting rights should be within landholding families.
Right.
And of course, the bill is passed because Tewkesbury takes his father's place. And
Tewkesbury.
he is the deciding vote. He's the
Right.
vote that basically pushes the bill and it's passed. And another element of the story, which is sort of in there, is that Tewkesbury is being pursued by, I called him the man in the top hat. Because I don't remember what his character's name is.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, so he's
I was just bowler hat dude. Yeah.
Oh, bowler hat. That's not top hat, bowler hat. Thank you. So he's being pursued by this gentleman. And what you learn, dun dun dun, is that his grandmother orchestrated the death of his father, is trying to kill him, or at least put him out of commission.
Oh, kill him dead.
Yeah.
I mean, well, she did try to get him to go into the army.
Yes.
Which I guess then he would have just had like somebody else assigned. But yeah, I mean, needs must,
Yeah.
You have to off your grandson.
Yeah, because the grandmother has a very telling conversation with Enola. This is when Enola, I'm jumping around, but Enola basically meets Tewkesbury on a train, and Tewkesbury has stowed away in this huge carpet bag. And she basically says, I want nothing to do with you. You're going to put me in jeopardy. I'm traveling alone. I'm disguised as a boy. No one can know I'm doing this. Tewkesbury, walks away. Bowler hat man comes on board. Enola is panged, like, I need to do something. And she takes him, they jump off the train together. They walk, they sort of bond because they're both children from homes in which no one recognizes them for who they are. They go to London, they separate. Bowler hat man tries to get Enola to tell him where is Tewkesbury. Enola says, I don't know. She has Bowler hat man reunites with Tewkesbury. I'm giving the Cliff Notes. And Tewkesbury decides, I'm going to help you. And we're going to figure out this mystery together. And Enola, of course, believes, it's your uncle. Your uncle is the one who killed your dad, who's trying to kill you. Lo and behold, dun, dun, dun. The grandmother. And the grandmother, the reason why she killed the father and wants the grandson done is because dead is because she is very much a believer in the aristocracy, in that England's future lies with the landholders, that those of common blood cannot govern themselves, and that English society will descend into chaos. So that's her reason behind wanting to stop the passage of this bill, because apparently most people don't want it passed. So that's why Tewksbury ends up being the deciding vote and why it's passed in the first place. So I had to go through that very quickly. But she has this conversation with Enola where she's walking by, and when I first saw her, I thought she was like a housekeeper. I didn't realize that was the grandmother. So don't ask me why, but she's having this conversation with Enola, and they're walking through the grounds, and she's saying, you know, look at these trees. This is my like, I consider myself the custodian of this land. And she was saying, you know, England is on the point of like almost like no return if this bill passes, and think of what we have to lose if it does. So that explains her psychology and why she's willing to go to such great lengths to make sure that the status quo remains the status quo. But that whole conversation is very telling. Like when I heard her talking about it, it made it more believable that she would be the one that's orchestrating all of this. But yeah, so that was another added element that's very interesting. But like I said, it all ends well.
So, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I found where I found that that Chinatown hint that it's Insider 16 Details You Might Have Missed in Enola Holmes by I'm not wearing my glasses, by Claudia Willen. And like that one was definitely the best notice, and also the gender roles that she also pointed out that Tewksbury and Enola are just like through the whole movie, they're acting opposite their gender stereotype.
Oh yeah,
and you know, and there's a shot from the movie that she took that shows Enola is like crouched over, like I think they're on a cart, and she's like kind of hunched over with her elbows on her legs, and her legs are just kind of dangling, and he's sitting with his hands in his lap, and his ankles are crossed. And you know, and then like she finds him working in a flower shop, and you know, like it's so sweet and cute, and it made me so happy just to see that, you know, those gender roles being reversed and not making him less masculine or making her less feminine. It was a very well done and sweet message for such a pro feminist movie, that like everybody gets to be everyone. It's not just about women.
No, definitely. And even the presentation, like when she first meets Tewksbury as he's emerging from a car, which was hysterical, because I could almost imagine you're all of a sudden you hear a sound and a bag opens up and a man, like a boy, falls out of it. Even the way his hair is done up, which at the time, I kind of had a feeling that men wouldn't have worn their hair that length, but maybe being a boy was different. But even the way his hair is presented is almost feminine, I guess you say. So his presentation versus hers, where her hair is put in like a cap. Oh, so like that sort of differentiation.
I also see it as you know, and he's also wearing a like a beigey white suit, and with that long like golden hair, he's very like cherubic and innocent. Which again is more of a Victorian lady like symbol that you would see than her dressed up and dirty, and he's like all in white and impeccably clean.
Yeah, and I also, there was another moment, I was just thinking about something else too, in terms of, uh, I think like the gender, like, and I can't remember what it is, so I'll just move on. But I can't remember now. I had it in my head and I lost it.
Yes,
I
that's my
just
life.
noticed, I know. I just noticed because I have a picture when Enola's in that boarding or finishing school, and
Hmm.
outfit looks kind of like not like the Pilgrims. Like she has like the really like large white like collar,
Right, right.
like the Pilgrims what they would have worn, you know, and how like she's very like they're trying to really repress her, but she's not about that life. She's not having it. I like how as soon as Sherlock comes to see her, she goes, okay, like, do you have the paper? And she's just like, no nonsense, looking through the paper,
Mhm.
whatnot. So yeah, and I loved her caricatures, like the one she does of Mycroft and the one she does of
Of the headmistress.
yes, the one who likes Mycroft, like how he's like he's what is he kissing her?
He's
Whatever.
he's giving her a little heart.
Yeah,
He's
it's
holding like a
just so
little
cute.
heart, and she it's adorable. And
Yeah.
and it's so obvious that he does not feel the way she feels about him. That is not returned. Or if it
Yes.
is, there's some reason that dude is not going to pull the trigger because he is very, very correct. And there is no sign that he wants much to do with her.
Yeah, and that actor also looks familiar, but I can't place him.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a pretty fantastic cast. And I keep being
Yeah.
surprised by this, and I don't know why I should be. Like I'm like, man, like Netflix original movies are getting really well cast. But I mean, they they are a big money content creator now. And
Yeah, definitely.
everything is, the best things are the things that are like stream from home immediately. So why wouldn't they spend like a ton of the budget on getting good casting? But every time I'm just like, really? He's in this? And it was very funny because I watched this with my husband the first time, and and we watched The Witcher. My
Mhm.
husband eagerly awaits The Witcher return. And by the way, I mean all the things still hold true on The Witcher, but I still like it now. Like I did not like wildly love it, but now like by the end of the season I was like, darn it, I want more. Um but the I was like, who is that man?
Mhm.
Because I mean he's just they definitely make him the pretty brother. Like it seems like they took pains to make him look glorious, and Mycroft
Mhm.
looked like a shriveled mouse. Like the poor dude. He's probably pretty handsome in real life, but they uglied him up. And they made that comparison really obviously visually, like he's robust and he's teeny, and um
Yeah. Mhm.
but and then like the way they lighted him is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the scene where Enola's in the tree and he's on the
Mhm.
ground, like he looks golden, like suffused with light.
Yeah.
um
Mhm.
so um so I was like, who is that dude? And he was like, oh, that's Henry Cavill, he's the Witcher. And I was like, oh, that wig again, that wig. So that wig ruined him, man. He is too
Well,
pretty
if
for
we
that wig.
watch, if we watch season 2 of The Witcher,
Yes, we can. Yeah.
hopefully the wig will improve.
Yeah. But definitely just on a Witcher thing, there's a woman comes on the scene, who's apparently much bigger in the games. Like he's like, that's not something. Jennifer, I think. Jennifer,
Oh, okay,
like
okay.
I didn't see much of Jennifer until like I watched further, and you know, and it picks up because yeah, we talked about her, but she is definitely awesome and scary. So yay. But anyway,
Oh, and has it started yet?
no, the second season,
Okay.
no, I don't
Okay.
believe
All
so.
right.
But
Okay.
anyway, back to the show we're talking about.
All right.
Um, you know, it was just really interesting the way, and the same thing, they did the same thing for the boy Tewksbury.
Yes.
You know, and especially at the end, when he's like all ready to go in and vote, and he's like all clean and pretty, and then she comes up and she looks like beautiful and maidenly, like in a
Mm-hmm.
way that you don't see her for the rest of the movie. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
either like a boy, a widow,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, or like super dignified and classy. So like you
Mm-hmm.
see her as like what legit a 16-year-old girl might look like.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, she does look young and she does look innocent, and it really is nice to visually see the way she presented her character. You know, like she's fantastic. But she really conveyed all of the feelings, even if she wasn't dressed in a manner that would force that.
No, no, definitely, definitely.
And okay, I wanted to discuss what we think of the directorial choices for it, because there were some interesting choices which I did like. Not at all saying that I did not feel that they were good choices. I just know that they might not have been unanimously voted good choices. So, what about like Enola breaking the fourth wall? Like looking at the camera all the time. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I mean, I thought it was interesting. I kind of enjoy when characters do that. I think, and I didn't look at like any reviews about what other people thought about that, but I know like with some people, especially with shows or films that are based on novels, the tendency is to almost try to make the film into a novel as well.
Hmm.
So long text breaks or like,
Right.
I mean, I didn't, honestly, as I was watching it, I didn't mind that she breaks the fourth wall, to be perfectly honest. I think it kind of makes it fun.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I'm sure there are people that kind of feel like, am I reading a book or watching a movie? Like, but personally, I had no problem with it. I liked
Yeah.
it. I thought it was cute because
They
it's
had
done in random moments.
right. And I mean, my favorite one was when he comes like in that giant box to bust her out of
Yeah,
the out of the school, and like
yeah.
she like jumps into the box with him and throws her arms around him and is like smushed up against his neck, and like she looks at you like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And they said the same thing in all the stuff I did reading about with Stranger Things as 11.
Mhm.
They like she had no outfits. You know, like they had to have this person that talked very little. She had
Mhm.
no agency in her own style. You know,
Mhm.
so like there was so little that she could use to tell her story except for her face. And
Mhm.
you know, the same thing when she's looking at the camera and showing, you know, like the humor that she conveys, like when like
Mhm.
she's pretending to be dead and she's like underwater and she just opens her eyes and winks, and
Yeah, yeah.
and showing her excitement when he comes to save her, and you
Mhm.
know, and knowing that responsibility she felt towards his rescue was returned.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I had no issue with that. I thought it made it fun and interesting. Yeah, it's
Cool.
Yeah, she does a fantastic job.
And she's so cute.
She is very cute. Yes.
Um,
So
she
did
like
you have,
literally, I cried so much over her
uh,
character in Stranger Things. So it
oh
was so
yeah.
nice to see her happy. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
and what okay, and on a side note about that, I felt like grandma, dowager grandma that was trying to kill her grandson was looking at the camera at the end. It was very strange because
Mm.
like she's looking straight ahead and it feels like she focuses on the camera just for a second. And I don't know if it's just my imagination.
Hmm.
Um and so like I have to go back and watch like that 5 minutes to see if it was my imagination that they wanted to like they wanted you to see how trapped she felt.
It very well could be. I honestly did not see that. Like I said, I was doing a bunch of things as I was watching, so it's quite I completely missed it. So I will go ahead and say I support that theory 100%.
Thank
Um,
you.
because I can't say anything to the contrary because I honestly don't remember.
Okay. And I
Really
actually have
possible.
one more note
Mhm.
that have to it was Hollywood Reporter that
Mhm.
um Netflix was Netflix had to settle with the Conan Doyle estate about rights to Sherlock's emotional availability because I know that that was exactly the look I had. So I'm gonna find this. It's Hollywood Reporter Eric Gardner from December 21st, 2020. Um, and it is, let's see. Um, hold on. I just have to find it really quick. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so the plaintiff asserted that the difference between the public domain stories and the copyrighted ones was a Sherlock Holmes who develops empathy in the latter series. The feeling was alleged to be infringed, to have been infringed. So, um, yeah, I mean, and I liked, so, and I bring this up for a few reasons. First of all, oh my gosh, for real. And,
Hmm.
and secondly, because I feel like Enola, like that's there for a reason because like Enola um has that emotional availability. She has that depth. She
Mhm.
has felt, within even the same movie, she has felt devoid of agency. She has felt, powerless in the decisions that are made about her. So
Mhm.
she's better able to see this case. And,
Mhm. Mhm.
and like there are so many things that like I read about in that insider article that are like so cute but not worth discussing. So I recommend if you're interested, like Google that up. Um, and it's like I just found it. It's 16 details you might have missed in Enola Holmes insider. I think I just put in like details Enola Holmes and I got
Mhm.
there. Um, excuse me, but just like that she rescues a lamb and she almost dies trying to rescue a lamb that gets
Mhm.
away. And then they have her putting Tewksbury on a wagon full of sheep
Oh.
as she says goodbye to him,
Mm.
and it just really, really nice, very, very cute things that she noticed that are really worth reading about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's really, yeah. I like when films have that kind of continuity. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that attention to detail. So were there any other like last minute things you wanted to talk about or?
No, I don't think so. I just want to say, like, this movie made me happy, just happy. Like, Angry Amy didn't really have to come out, which was nice. So, I definitely think that it's worth a watch or a rewatch just for even missing details, because there are some that you'll be like, "Oh." So, and that's all.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially as we were celebrating Women's Day. It's definitely like a really great movie. Um, for many reasons, it'll make you happy, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry. The characters are fantastic, so I would definitely recommend that you watch it. And so that'll be my concluding statement. Definitely give it a watch. I think you'll really enjoy it. And thank you again, as always, for tuning in and listening to us. And I just want to wish everyone a fantastic day. Stay safe, stay healthy. And we look forward to our next podcast with you. So thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.